Welcome to Top Shelf. My name's David Pierce, and this week we're talking about self-knowledge, all the things we know about ourselves. And it turns out there's a lot more than there used to be, thanks to our phones and apps and weird devices throughout our house. The question is, do we want to know all this data? And if we do, what do we do with it all? So before we get too far, let's start with what we know now. If you were committed to it, it's always been possible to track your life. You could count how many laps you ran around the track, how many sets you did on the bench press, or how much you weigh. But now that there's a smartphone in your pocket, and companies can build a computer smaller than your thumbnail, there's almost nothing you can't track.
Most people still track what they always did, steps, calories, and weight. But the same devices that give you that information now give you much more. You can track your sleep, not only how much of it you got, but how much of it was deep sleep, how much was restless, and how many times you woke up during the night. You can track your eating habits, both what you're eating and what it's doing to you, as well as how fast you're eating. Are you chewing enough? There's actually a gadget that will tell you. There are also gadgets and apps that will tell you how you're spending your time, whether or not you're getting your work done, and whether or not you're meditating enough. Ever wondered about your amino acids? Now you can know more about them than you ever dreamed, or probably wanted. Most of that, other than your amino acids, I guess, is just an easier way to track data you could have theoretically figured out before. But it gets crazier. You can track when you last pooped, how long your poops last, and what it all says about your eating habits. Speaking of which, you can figure out if you're technically eating too much just by using an iPhone app. It says your stomach is stretching if you're overfeeding yourself, which is terrifying. You can even take a picture of a food and figure out how many calories it has, so you won't stretch your stomach too much. If you're particularly clinical, there are devices for tracking your heartbeat and your blood pressure. Some track your surroundings and your moods too, so you can figure out that warm, humid rooms make you sleepy and cold rooms make you mad. Some will even change the temperature once they learn how you feel. You can chart your mood against your diet too, and I bet you'll learn a lot about what makes you happy and what doesn't. The list really goes on and on. Want to know how much time you waste on Facebook down to the millisecond? There's an app for that. Want to take a picture of your surroundings every 30 seconds so you never forget anything you ever did ever? Check. Want to know when you last had sex and how it was? All you have to do is download an app. Combine it with one of the food trackers, and you'll probably figure out why it was, or wasn't, very good. All this data collection is becoming more and more automatic. Just strap a thing to your wrist or stick it in your pocket and forget about it. But for now, though, there's still a lot you have to input yourself, and that's kind of a lot of work.
So the big question, the next question all these companies and manufacturers have to answer is, what am I supposed to do with all this data? I know how much I weigh, I know how much I eat, I know how good my sex is, I know how good my poops are. So what? So there's a lot of questions left, and here to answer all of them is Dan Berg, our reviews editor, who you're kind of into this stuff, right?
Minimally. I got the Fitbit Zip, which is like the most basic tracker you can possibly do because
that's this little guy, right?
Yeah, that's that one.
And you clip it. That's like that goes on your belt. Don't you lose these? I've lost all of the ones that I have tried like this. And then I find them 6 weeks later, and I'm like, well, this is useful to me.
Yeah, if I slip it in my pocket or something, it'll fall out. But I just keep it clipped to my belt, and all this one does is pretty much measure steps, and so it's basically like a glorified pedometer, you know, and you can have the app and you can see all the different stuff, but it doesn't do as much as all of these other things.
So why that one then? Like, what does that do for you?
Well, I tried the Up and the Jawbone Up, and basically like, I just never remembered to like turn it onto the sleep mode, and like you're motivated for like a week. Right. Or 2 weeks, and then all of a sudden it just kind of fades and the information like is in the background. So what I want is something that like I don't have to think about, and it just is there, and then I can view the information when I want to, and then it's there, you know? So
that's the real question, right? How do we make it so that much more than just steps is tracked automatically and sort of collated for you, and stuff is done with it? And so you've looked into some of the ways people are trying to do this. So what have you found? Like, are people working on this?
They're trying to. The real quest, like you were saying, is to get the most amount of data from the least amount of user action.
Right.
And it's interesting how different people are approaching it. Like the Fuel Band, the Nike Fuel Band, is awesome because you wear it and it abstracts things away.
It's nice looking too.
Yeah, it's pretty, and you don't ever have to think about it, and it's not like you're tracking your steps and your sleep. Like, it just gives you a number that is like, okay, do I hit that number or not?
Right, that's the thing I like about this, is it's totally like abstract. Right? It's all you're doing is better. But that sort of defeats the purpose of having all these cool sensors and data and stuff, right? I don't know, but with all the rest of this stuff, people are trying to do sort of more aggressive things than Nike. Nike seems to have just admitted that they can't do it, so they're not going to even try. But there's like the Fitbit Flex here collects a ton of data. But what do I do with it? What are people doing with this data?
I mean, that's up to the users right now. The manufacturers are only able to like present it and try to like visualize it, and they give you charts and graphs, and you can kind of see and correlate different moods or activities to different steps and feelings and stuff. And the actual meaning is up to the user, I guess.
Yeah.
There's no real, like, this is good and this is bad.
But isn't that like broken, sort of fundamentally, where you're making me do all of this extra work myself? I mean, it's like you said, getting the most data from the least user interaction. And there's like, Jawbone is doing some interesting stuff with this, right? What's their
Well,
plan?
they're trying to track in the mood and like how you're feeling versus your activities.
Right.
So that's really interesting. Withings is also doing something really interesting. They've got the pulse here, and this even has like a little fingerprint thing on the back, so you can take your heart rate.
Oh, interesting.
And their app is kind of unique because they really focus on your overall wellness and health. And they're like, okay, well, these are 4 quadrants. It's like activity and it's sleep and it's weight and like all these things. And they're trying to be overall healthy. And the pulse fits into it. Their weight tracker fits into it. And you can use like a bunch of other kind of apps and services to link into it to kind of get that
This is
as
nice
well.
and small too.
It is.
Which is cool. Well, so those other apps and services are what I'm really curious about. So this does sort of one thing for me, right? And Withings makes other things. Is it Withings or Withings? I don't even know. But they do other things too, where they have the scale that matches with this too. But isn't the dream to sort of make all of this work together, where I can wear this, I wear that wacky headband when I'm sleeping, I wear something else when I'm just living my everyday life, or when I lose this. Is that ever going to happen? Are we just totally segmented and screwed here?
I think we're going to get there. The Withings or the Withings, they're the closest. Their API is open, so you can kind of connect to it and kind of use the data. And their app can connect to like the Zeo headband. It connects to Runkeeper to track your runs. It connects to like all these different services to like track your food and everything else, and they're kind of bringing it all together. But their implementation is more, okay, here's your steps and view your step activity, and here is your food, view your food activity, rather than by day, which is what all the other apps are doing. So kind of segmenting it out, they kind of lose the daily history that you get, the value from all the other apps.
Okay, but so we have all this other data now, right? And even outside of sort of the fitness stuff, there's all kinds of other stuff we're able to track. And you were telling me before about this guy who took video of his kid and was able to figure out sort of like a lot of scientific discoveries about his son or daughter just by having all this data?
Yeah, he recorded his child, I forget, like from like birth to 2 or 5. He ended up collecting like 90,000 hours worth of video.
Just like had a camera on his kid at all times?
He put it in his house. So like in every single individual room, like 9 different rooms, different cameras, and collected audio and video throughout this. And then he went through and was able to analyze it. And what he was looking for was the evolution of language. So how does a person learn how to talk based on their interactions with people, their interactions with objects, and kind of the way people actually learn and think based on their interactions. And it was really interesting, and he kind of took that experience and related to, okay, the dissemination of information, where like a presidential speech and everybody watching it, what's being absorbed, what's being learned, and how does that kind of shape society as a whole.
So he was able to watch, what's being said to his child and how that sort of comes back out of his child then or later or whatever.
Exactly.
And that's just a big data play that he pulls together. But so then does he have to go through 90,000 hours of video to try and put all this together?
Yes.
That sounds awful.
Yeah, it was like 200 terabytes of data. So yeah, there needs to be like an easier way to kind of bring a meaning to this, because that's meaningful. Like understanding how language and learning and information works is meaningful, but going through 90,000 hours of one person to get it is not anything like anybody can do.
So what's it going to take? Is it going to be one company that's going to have to just sort of take over the ecosystem and hopefully make everything that we need for everybody? Or is there going to be like a back end that does it all? Or how do you see this going? What's going to happen here?
First, I think there's going to be one company that's going to do a lot of things and they're going to do it really well. After that, I can see it kind of opening up as other people are like, okay, here's how to do it really well. And then having like one big back end. So like people can have their own system or server, just like you have your own email box or something. You can collect information from everywhere and make meaning of it, or whatever is meaningful to you.
Right, yeah, I mean, that seems like the dream, right? Is you can have all your different devices and then they're sort of the dots, and then there's something living in the background just connecting them all.
Yeah.
And is that, I guess, just a matter of them, all these companies, Fitbit and Withings and Nike and all them just working together and sort of owning the fact that, more data is better?
Yeah.
Is that...
I mean, working together or opening up so that other people can get in there more. But it's also up to people to figure out what the actual meaning that is important. Like if I'm tracking my steps, that I'm not going to learn about the evolution of language.
Right.
Like it's finding out, okay, why is that step count important? And it's interesting to me because I can see, okay, well, I'm not really getting as many steps as I should be. Right. I'm going to start taking a walk in the morning or do something like actionable just because I like getting up to the 10,000 daily recommended steps. But beyond that, it's not too much meaning yet, I guess. And in order to get like the meaning, like the sleep, the food that you're eating, that takes a lot more work. And there needs to be a way to not do the work because I forget. And if people forget, like if you forget for 2 days, you go back and you have an incomplete history, your motivation to keep going just decreases each time.
Right. Well, and all your data becomes sort of immediately
Exactly, it's messed up.
Right.
Exactly.
Okay, so the one place I think we've gotten this right in a lot of ways, and that makes me excited for the rest of this, is running. And this is like the big thing that people are into.
Yeah.
And so basically, did we strap all of these things onto you? I think that's what happened.
Every single one of these
Yes, we
was
strapped
on me.
all of these and
Yes.
more onto Dan, and we sent him running. And we wanted to figure out how accurate is this data, how good is it, how interesting is it, and basically how sweaty can we make Dan on camera.
The current trend in fitness says the more data that you have, the more fit you'll be. So we took 8 different devices and apps from 8 different manufacturers, and we're subjecting them to the same run down the West Side Highway here in New York City. We're gonna let you know what we liked and what we didn't. I ran a total of 1.57 miles at an average pace of 10 minutes and 10 seconds per mile. Somewhat surprisingly, all of the different apps and devices counted pretty much the same number of steps. The S4's walking mate was the lowest. It counted only 2,526 steps. The Jawbone Up was next, which is 2,535 steps. The Withings Pulse counted 2,539 steps. The Fitbit Zip was 2,540 steps. And the Fitbit Flex was 2,546 steps. In total, the run earned me 590 fuel points on the Nike Plus Fuel Band, which is about a fifth of the activity that's recommended for the average active day. Anything that was strapped to my arm became uncomfortable as I was running, and keeping things in my pocket just kind of moved around and weren't really secure. All the devices that I was using, with the exception of the Runkeeper, were designed to give an overall sense of the daily activity level. The Runkeeper app on my iPhone was the only product that is not designed for constant all-day use, and thus provided the best information while I was running, including distance, pace, and time. The only problem was, I couldn't really see it when it was strapped to my arm, and I didn't want to hold it or put it in my pocket. I was able to slide bracelets like the Fitbit Flex, the Jawbone Up, and the Nike Plus Fuel Band higher up on my wrist so they wouldn't move around as I ran. But over time they kind of became sweaty underneath, and it was uncomfortable although not unbearable. The clip-on trackers like the Fitbit Flex and the Withings Pulse were the least noticeable, but I lost the Withings Pulse on a previous run after incorrectly returning it to the clip, so I was constantly paranoid that it was going to fall out again. I liked all the information that was provided by the Runkeeper app, but I wish that there was some way to view it on my wrist because that would be much easier to see while I was running. My ideal product still isn't out there, but I'm going to keep looking.
That's our show. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks to Dan Berg for being here, and a very special thanks to the good people of the West Side Highway. We'll be back next Monday and every Monday. We'll see you then.